Kenya is on the edge. There's tension in the air, streets burning, voices rising, and anger spilling out like never before. It seems something is breaking. You can hear it in the chants of the protesters, in the silence of the disappeared. And at the center of it all is one man, President William Ruto.
Today's events mark a critical turning point on how we respond to grave threats.
To some, he was the hustler president, the man who rose from poverty and promised to uplift the people. But to a great majority, he's become a symbol of betrayal, repression, and unbearable hardship. So, what went wrong? Why do Kenyans, especially the youth, really want William Ruto gone? The answer isn't just about the usual politics now. To understand this movement, this explosive anger boiling over, we need to go back. And not just to Ruto's election victory in 2022, but way back to the 1990s when a young William Ruto stepped into Kenya's political theater during a time of deep transition. It started with a lobby group, YK92, and it was here in this candle-reading outfit that Ruto began carving his path to power. Allegedly funded by dirty money, accused of fueling corruption at the highest levels, YK92 wasn't just a stepping stone, it was a warning sign, one that most people missed, but it wouldn't be the last time Ruto's name would be tied to scandal. What started as ambition would soon turn into something darker. This is the story of William Ruto and how he's tearing Kenya apart, one step at a time. It's the early 1990s. Kenya is at the crossroads. One party rule is collapsing. The streets are alive with chants for democracy. And while the country struggles to break free from dictatorship, a new face emerges quietly behind the scenes. William Samoei Ruto. Not a household name yet, just a fresh university graduate from the Rift Valley, armed with ambition and political instinct sharper than most. Ruto's first big break comes when he joins the Youth for Kanu 92 or YK92, a powerful political machine built to secure re-election for President Daniel Arap Moi. But this wasn't your ordinary campaign group, it was flush with cash. Billions of shillings allegedly looted from public coffers through the infamous Goldenberg scandal flowed into YK92 to literally buy votes. The streets were flooded with money, and Ruto was one of the operatives of this YK92. To the public, he would later brand himself as the hustler, the chicken seller who made it big. But behind closed doors, he was already playing in the big leagues, building alliances, accumulating wealth, and learning the art of political survival. You see, the irony here was that his rise began with the very corruption he would later promise to fight. In 1997, Ruto won his first parliamentary seat representing Eldoret North. He soon became the symbol of the changing tides, young, loyal to Moi, and politically lethal. While the economy buckled under corruption and inflation, Ruto's profile rose quickly. He was appointed assistant minister in Moi's government. To some, he was just another loyalist, but to others, he was becoming something more dangerous. A man who would say anything, do anything, and align with anyone if it meant more power. By the time Moi's era ended in 2002, Ruto had become part of Kanu's inner circle, backing Uhuru Kenyatta in a losing battle against Mwai Kibaki. But Ruto didn't go down with this ship. He reinvented himself again, this time as a reformist. You see, in 2005, sensing the public's appetite for change, Ruto broke ranks with the Moi establishment. He aligned with Raila Odinga during the constitutional referendum. The same Raila he once opposed, the same Raila he would later betray. Each move was calculated, opportunistic, and strategic. Every betrayal earned him a bigger seat at the table. Every scandal somehow made him stronger. But that strength would soon be tested in the most violent chapter of Kenya's history, the 2007 election. And Ruto would find himself not just in the middle of it, but accused of helping light the march. Kenya, December 2007. The country is holding its breath. The general elections have just wrapped up. Raila Odinga, Ruto's new political ally, claims victory, but in a late-night announcement, the Electoral Commission declares Mwai Kibaki as the winner. Within hours, chaos erupts. Fires burn in Nairobi. Ethnic militias emerge in the Rift Valley. Neighbors turn on neighbors. Kenya is engulfed in a nightmare. Over 1,100 people are killed. More than 600,000 are displaced. The state is on the verge of collapse. And at the heart of it all is William Ruto. As a top Pentagon member of Raila's ODM, Ruto had become the party's key mobilizer in the Rift Valley. But after this violence, testimonies and reports begin to pour in. Human Rights Watch, international observers, and local NGOs all point to something chilling. Allegations that the violence in parts of the Rift Valley wasn't spontaneous, it was organized. Witnesses claim meetings had been held, plans drawn, machetes distributed, and Ruto was accused of being a key architect. In 2010, the International Criminal Court in The Hague lists its first suspects. Among them is William Ruto. He's charged with crimes against humanity, murder, persecution, and the forced displacement of people. The very court he once supported now wants him tried as a war criminal. But this is where things get complicated and dark. Staying on top of the fast-moving political landscape while delivering insightful, accurate commentary can feel like a monumental task. Geopolitics can change overnight. One decision, one conflict, one shift in power, and the world is never the same. When I started breaking down world events, I felt overwhelmed by the sheer amount of time required to create content and shoot yourself in a way that truly added value. Now, if you want to start out today, you don't need to do it all on your own, especially with minimal resources. You can now choose to focus on what really matters, which is your research and creativity. And you can let InVideo AI do all the rest for you. With InVideo AI, you can create a complete full-length video with your AI avatar using just text prompts. It will look like you, sound like you, and it will be the highest quality video that you will get on any tool. Not just that, but you can create it in your own voice and in any language. Just come in here and create your own avatar or choose from a library of AI actors, type in the idea you want to create a video about. It's pretty game changing.
In the heart of Africa, one man's reign of terror would claim up to 500,000 lives. This is the story of Idi Amin Dada, Uganda's most notorious dictator.
You can even go ahead and edit anything you like make the avatar appear more in the video or change the scene at 20 seconds. Unlike traditional video tools with steep learning curves that only solve for parts of your video creation process, InVideo is the creative partner that you have always wanted. It removes all the friction and puts you in the director's seat, letting users focus entirely on their vision and their idea while InVideo AI does all the heavy lifting. So, what are you waiting for? Go to the link in my description box below, check out InVideo AI today and create your own free avatar. Thank you InVideo for sponsoring this video. Now, let's head back into our story.
But I want to stand here this morning to tell all and sundry we are innocent.
You see, Ruto doesn't just deny the charges, he flips the script. He paints himself as a victim of political persecution, and in Kenya, that narrative sticks. Suddenly, he's not just a suspect, he's a hero to his ethnic base, a martyr. The ICC becomes the enemy. International justice becomes a foreign plot. In 2013, in a stunning political twist, Ruto teams up with none other than Uhuru Kenyatta, who is also facing ICC charges. Together, they formed the Jubilee Alliance, bridging ethnic lines between Kikuyu and Kalenji communities. Their pitch was simple: national unity and resistance against foreign interference. The same unity that has shattered Kenya just 5 years before. Well, they win the people's vote. Ruto becomes deputy president. Meanwhile, the ICC trial grinds on, but witnesses begin dropping out. One by one, some recant, some disappear. Others are found dead. A pattern emerges. The ICC itself acknowledges a systematic campaign of witness tampering, intimidation, and bribery. In 2016, the case collapses. Not because Ruto is cleared, but because it can't proceed. Officially, it's a mistrial, but on the ground, Ruto claims victory. he walks away without conviction and with even more political power. But the ghosts of 2007 never leave. They linger in displaced camps, in families still searching for justice, in the uneasy silence that now surrounds every election season in Kenya. William Ruto had survived the biggest test of his political life, but instead of reckoning, he emerged emboldened, untouchable. And from this moment on, a dangerous lesson is reinforced. In Kenya, power doesn't just protect you from justice, it erases it completely. By 2013, William Ruto had ascended to the second most powerful office in the country, Deputy President of Kenya. But while the title carried prestige, what he did with it told a different story. He had styled himself as the hustler-in-chief, the ordinary man in high office, and to many poor Kenyans, he still represented the dream, a man who had risen from selling chickens on the roadside to the very top of government. But behind that humble image, Ruto was building something else entirely. A political empire, a business empire, and a trail of controversy that grew longer by the year. One of the earliest scandals came just months into office, the Hustler Jet affair. Ruto chartered a luxurious private jet for a diplomatic tour across West Africa, racking up a taxpayer-funded bill of over 21 million Kenyan shillings. The trip was framed as diplomatic outreach, but beneath that fancy name was vanity, a symbol of how quickly the hustler had become part of the elite. Then came the land scandals. In 2014, a court ordered Ruto to return a 100-acre farm to Adrian Muteshi, a man displaced during the 2007 post-election violence. The court found that Ruto had illegally taken the land. It was a damning ruling. Not only had Ruto allegedly profited from a national tragedy, he had stolen land from a man who was forced to flee for his life. That same year, his name surfaced yet again, this time over the Western Hotel, a gleaming property in Nairobi built on land allegedly grabbed from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Ruto denied wrongdoing, but the allegations wouldn't go away, and in 2015, things got even darker. Developers linked to Ruto tried to annex the playground of Langata Road Primary School, a public school, in order to expand Western Hotel's parking lot. When school children protested, the police responded with tear gas on children. Images of gasping students clutching their eyes flooded the news. It was a national outrage. Even Ruto's staunchest defenders struggled to explain away the images of 10-year-olds choking on state violence. The government backed off, but the damage was already done. Behind the scandals, a deeper pattern emerged: impunity. No matter how serious the allegation, Ruto walked away untouched. Investigations stalled, witnesses vanished, cases quietly collapsed. Amidst all this, Ruto came out with a new nickname, Arap Mashamba, meaning son of farms. You see, as deputy president, Ruto also expanded his business interests. Reports linked him to large farms, high-end real estate, luxury hotels, and insurance firms. But his official salary remained modest. And here's where the math didn't add up. The source of his growing wealth became the subject of whispers, then headlines, then parliamentary inquiries. But nothing stuck. Nothing ever did. Still, behind the scenes, a new friction was building. And this time, it wasn't with the opposition party. It was with his own boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta. And the moment that would blow their relationship wide open was already ticking like a bomb.
President Uhuru Kenyatta took a swipe at his deputy over his economic policies and initiatives in the escalating feud.
March 2018. Something happened that shocked the nation. President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga were seen together. They shake hands, smile, cameras flash. Kenya stares in disbelief. Just months earlier, Odinga had declared himself the people's president after a disputed election. There had been protests, deaths, and bitter political standoffs. And now, this, a handshake. To most Kenyans, it looked like peace. But to William Ruto, this was more than a betrayal. The thought of being driven out of the party left Ruto restless. This alliance meant only one thing: no seat at the table. Suddenly, Ruto was no longer the heir apparent. He was the odd man out. The handshake birthed something bigger: the Building Bridges Initiative, or BBI for short. Framed as a national healing project, BBI proposed constitutional reforms, new political positions, restructuring power dynamics. But Ruto wasn't buying it. He saw it for what it really was: an elite pact to block his 2022 presidential bid. And so he came out swinging, publicly and boldly too. He painted BBI as a con job, dynasties trying to protect themselves from the hustler nation. It was the start of a new war, and this time, the battlefield was within his own government. Ruto's allies were purged from key positions. Governors, MPs, cabinet secretaries close to him faced arrest, tax investigations, media blackouts. Meanwhile, President Kenyatta's circle accused Ruto of undermining the government from within, using public resources to build his campaign machine. The political marriage was over. By 2020, Jubilee, the party they had built together, was in tatters. Ruto launched a new political identity, UDA, the United Democratic Alliance. Its mantra was bottom-up economics. He targeted Kenyan hustlers, the poor, the jobless youth. He turned his political exile into a populist brand. He wasn't just running for president anymore. This was a class war, and it worked. Crowds swelled at his rallies. The message resonated. For millions of struggling Kenyans, Ruto's story felt familiar. He promised a government for the people, not the elites, and every time the state tried to silence him or jail his allies, it only added to his mystique: the underdog fighting the system. But there was just this one problem. The system still had power, and the closer the 2022 elections came, the dirtier the fight became. The question was no longer if Ruto would run. It was how far the establishment would go to stop him, and what he would be willing to do to win.
My competitors must wake up to the reality that I am their competitor. Uhuru Kenyatta is not their competitor.
August 2022, Kenya braces for yet another election. The tension is electric. The streets are uneasy, and once again, the country is on the brink. But this time, the race feels different. William Ruto isn't just a candidate anymore. He's the underdog turned front runner. His main rival, Raila Odinga, is backed by President Uhuru Kenyatta himself. And the paradox wasn't lost on anyone. The deputy president is running against the very government he serves. He's defying his boss, the state machinery, and the political elite, and somehow, he's winning hearts. Ruto's campaign leans hard on class. Its hustlers versus dynasties narrative sticks. He promises to turn Kenya into a nation of opportunity for the poor. He pledges to slash debt, create jobs, and restore dignity to the struggling majority. When the results come in, it's razor thin, 50.5%. The margin is just enough. The Supreme Court upholds the results. Raila Odinga challenges. Protests flare, but the court sides with Ruto. On September 13, 2022, William Samoei Ruto is sworn in as the 5th president of Kenya. He delivers a speech filled with hope and humility. He thanks God. He thanks the people. He promises a new dawn. But almost immediately, the mask slips. Soon enough, Ruto is out pledging support to climate change efforts aimed at reducing the use of fossil fuel. Within weeks, subsidies on fuel and maize flour are scrapped, sending the cost of living soaring. This is just another IMF recommendation, but the impact is brutal. Maize flour prices skyrocket, fuel becomes unaffordable. The poor, the hustlers he claimed to fight for, feel the pain first. Then comes the 2023 finance bill. More taxes, higher VAT on fuel, a controversial housing levy. Kenyans are stunned. The same man who rallied against taxes while in opposition is now choking the very people who brought him to power. Protests break out. Raila Odinga's Azimio coalition calls for demonstrations. Youth pour into the streets, but the police respond with tear gas, rubber bullets, and sometimes live rounds. People die. The streets bleed. Still, Ruto stands firm. He blames the opposition for inciting unrest. He accuses them of sabotage. He refuses to compromise. But beneath the surface, something more dangerous is brewing. Public trust begins to erode, and fast. The economy teeters. Investors pull back, unemployment spikes, and a new generation, young, angry, and online, starts asking questions. Who is William Ruto really working for? Because for many Kenyans, it is starting to feel like the hustler they elected isn't one of them after all.
Why is he killing us? Why is Ruto killing us?
I don't know where he's shot, but he was shot. You could see blood.
3 bodies remain. 2 of them are wounded.
It begins with a hashtag, Reject Finance Bill 2024. Then a few TikTok videos, a thread on X. By the time the streets flood, it's already too late for the government to contain it. This isn't the opposition. This isn't Raila. This isn't Azimio. This is something the Kenyan political class had never seen before. It's leaderless, it's raw, it's angry, and it's Gen Z. In June 2024, President Ruto introduces a finance bill packed with new taxes. Fuel, bread, sanitary products, mobile money, everything gets touched. The government says it's about debt repayment and fiscal stability. But to ordinary Kenyans, it sounds like one thing: punishment. And the youth snap. They take to the streets peacefully with flags, placards, and art. Their signs are witty. Their chants are defiant. They call Ruto Zakayo, the biblical tax collector. They hold mock funerals for the cost of living. They live stream every moment. But the state doesn't respond with dialogue. It responds with force.
Why are you arresting me?
Why do you protest?
Why? Give me a reason. I protest because you're killing us.
Tear gas, water cannons, batons, bullets, and something else. Silence. A deafening silence from the leaders elected to protect them. On June 25, 2024, protesters marched toward Parliament, but they are met with sniper fire. Real bullets and real deaths occurred. Blood soaks Nairobi streets. 22 people are confirmed dead. Most of them are young, some shot in the back, others shot in the head. The nation is turned. But instead of quelling the protest, the violence does the opposite. It radicalizes them. Within days, demonstrations erupt in 43 out of Kenya's 47 counties. Urban slums, rural towns, college campuses, even diaspora communities. And the cry is no longer just about tax. It's about justice, dignity, accountability, the right to be heard. As the world watches, Ruto's government doubles down. Protesters are abducted in the night. Journalists are threatened. Social media slows. TV stations go dark. Bodies of missing activists are found in rivers and forests, tortured, broken, nameless even. Yet, the movement holds. Because it's not tied to a politician. It's tied to pain. The pain of Kenyans. The youth aren't asking for power. They are demanding a future. And in a country where every election cycle has felt like betrayal, Gen Z finally decides, enough is enough. The movement becomes a mirror, reflecting all the broken promises, the decades of corruption, the apathy of the elite. And at the center of it, standing alone and defiant, is William Ruto, the president losing control, a nation boiling over. Amid mounting pressure, President Ruto made a strategic retreat on the immediate trigger of the unrest. On June 26, 2024, Ruto announced he would withhold his signature from the Finance Bill 2024, effectively vetoing the tax hikes. The bill was subsequently scrapped on June 28, 2024, in what was a major concession to the protesters' primary demand. Ruto also tried to calm public anger by reshuffling his cabinet. In fact, he fired almost his entire cabinet in July 2024 in a dramatic gesture of reset. However, these moves did little to address deeper issues. Protests continued sporadically into July and August, evolving from tax-focused demonstrations into a broader indictment of Ruto's leadership. And then, June 25, 2025, exactly 1 year after the storming of Parliament. What began as a youth-led protest against a finance bill has evolved into something deeper, something angrier. People return to the streets, not to riot, not even to loot, but to remember. They carry flags wrapped in black ribbons. They wear shirts printed with the names of the dead. They bring flowers, candles, and photos of young lives cut short. For many, this is a funeral procession. The plan is simple: march peacefully, honor the fallen, and demand justice. But the state doesn't care for symbols. By midday, downtown Nairobi is sealed off. Roads blocked, parliament and state houses surrounded by razor wire and riot police. Armed officers in plainclothes mix into the crowd, and then the first shot rings out. Tear gas, rubber bullets, live rounds, and chaos. By evening, Nairobi is burning. Bonfires light up major highways. Protesters and police clash in pitched battles across the capital. In Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, the story is the same. When the smoke clears, the toll is brutal. 16 dead, over 400 injured, dozens arrested, countless missing, and among the dead, a pregnant woman, a 17-year-old student, a man shot in the back while carrying a peace sign. The brutality feels intentional, as if to send a message. Don't come back. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Makume calls it a failed coup. Ruto's allies say the protests were funded by foreign actors, another tired excuse. Online, Ruto supporters call the youth terrorists, but the images tell a whole different story. A mother crying outside a morgue, a blood-soaked flag, a police officer whipping a fallen protester as others run. Well, the world responds, but only just. William Ruto is still in power, but the country around him is unraveling. His cabinet reshuffles haven't calmed the anger. His apologies feel hollow. And despite promising to listen, Ruto seems to hear only one voice, his own. The protests may have slowed, but the rage hasn't. It's gone inward, simmering and waiting. And now, even inside his own government, the cracks are beginning to show. It seems Ruto can no longer hide from the many corruption allegations and poor leadership. In fact, a global corruption watchdog recently named Ruto as one of the world's most corrupt leaders of 2024, based on tens of thousands of public submissions. It's not just embarrassing, it's a damning report. The anger that once lived on the streets is now everywhere, on podcasts, around dinner tables. A quiet consensus is forming. This man must go. The people are tired and their anger can be seen on the streets. Now, Ruto must go is no longer just a chant, it's a diagnosis. The question now is, for when?